See, my sister, she went to Florida for vacation. She's gonna be gone for over a week, and that's gonna be lovely. I can sleep at whatever time I want without using ear covers, and it'll be very nice. No disturbances whatsoever. Now, I figured, for whatever reason, not sure why, I just had the urge to make a video. By the way, it's raining outside, quite wet. I just had the urge to make a video, and I think what I'll do is I'll talk pleasantly. There's 4 letters that form an acronym that I will not be putting in this title, and those letters are A, S, M, and R. That is because the ASMR community is absolutely horrifically disgusting, and I don't want to associate them with them in any way. So this is not an ASMR video. This is a pleasantly talking video. A video where I pleasantly talk, not to autonomously, autonomous sensory meridian response. I forget what it's called, but I'm not autonomously meridianing any responses or anything. I'm simply talking pleasantly. Nothing more to it than that. If you have come from the ASMR community, and you listen to things like Mommy ASMR, or Boyfriend does this, or Pervert Boss does that, please leave. Either take my channel as inspiration to change yourself and become better, or do not watch my videos, because quite frankly, that kind of stuff is absolutely disgusting. And I've said it many times before, and I'll say it again. I've made many videos on it because it is just absolutely horrific. So if you watch that kind of comforting or sexual ASMR, please leave right now or change. I'd rather you change, because if you left, then that would do no one good and you just continue to do bad things. So please change, and if you're not willing to, please leave. And if you're not willing to, please don't listen to this for comfort, I suppose, because then I don't want, no, please don't. Anyways, I wasn't sure what to talk about, but then I realized, despite how many times I've talked about it before, I shall tell you about the SR-71 Blackbird. Very cool aircraft. So let's begin with some backstory. It's a very short backstory. So, during the Cold War, the space race, United States versus the Soviet Union, which is what Russia is now if you want to wear, but you should know that. Good old 60s, technically started in the late 50s, but who cares. And we were trying to get stuff in space. Russia got Sputnik up there, basically just sent something into orbit. That was pretty cool. We beat them to get them out on the moon, one small step and all that thing. You should know pretty well what that is, but if you don't, it is not Louis Armstrong that went to the moon, because Louis Armstrong is a musician, not an astronaut. It was instead Neil Armstrong who went to the moon, alright? So remember that, Neil Armstrong. And also Buzz Aldrin, and also that third guy. He's pretty interesting. Someone made a video, I can't recall who, about how when he stayed in the module or whatever, when he orbited to the backside of the moon, he's the furthest anyone's ever been from any human. That's pretty cool. Look up that third guy. He doesn't give enough recognition, and you could tell that because I don't know his name. But he's still pretty cool. It's like Irving or something. I don't know. I'm just completely guessing. That's probably entirely wrong. But anyways. So yes, we were in a race to get things into the air, which means no GPS existed. Remember that. That will be useful later. I will remind you of it though, so you don't really need to remember that. But just take note of that. It is interesting. So no GPS or anything, because we only had one thing in orbit, which was Sputnik at the time. Although we did have planes that flew very far. And you see, intelligence was a very important thing. Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA, of the United States of America, or USA, they found information on Soviet stuff with the U-2 spy plane. It went high up, and it used cameras and things to find out what kind of missiles and radars and stuff the Soviet Union was making. And the Soviet Union used some things to spy on us, although I don't think they were as successful, if I recall correctly, because I can't think of a single Russian spy plane, but I'm sure there were some. I just can't think of what they are. Now, the U-2 plane, it was the U-2, and it did U-2 things, and that's all it was. Now, there's a few things that were developing at the time. Missiles were becoming very fast, because along with the space race, the Cold War had the arms race. So, more nuclear bombs, faster, bigger, stronger, better ways of delivering them, all that stuff, World War III is imminent, we're gonna die. Thankfully, we've taken out some of those nukes, and, there's a little bit of drama right now with Iran and people building nukes and all that stuff. It's political BS. But anyways, yes, we were building a bunch of nuclear bombs, but we was also developing missiles for hitting things in the air, because we were also developing ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, which is for nuking other people, but also mid-air missiles for, destroying U-2 spy planes, for example, and radars for detecting them, because, spy planes spying on you isn't very nice. So while the U-2 remained the U-2, and it had its own maximum altitude and its top speed and all of its figures, the missiles and the radars were improving. Oh no. The CIA knew this and said, hey, can someone make us a plane that isn't going to get shot down? 1960, I believe it was May 1st. Gary Powers. Look him up. He has a pretty notable event item. But yeah, the CIA was like, hey, can we have a plane that won't get shot down? So Lockheed Martin, they were like, oh, sure. Yo, Kelly Johnson, Skunkworks Division, let's make a cool plane. And there's a lot of stuff, the Sun 10 project and all those things, and a bunch of really weird plane ideas came about. And throughout which the development of the SR-71, Gary Powers in his U-2 went kaboom and went into the Soviet territory and all that stuff. So, Project Archangel had many, many, many things. A-11, Archangel 11, that was pretty close to the SR-71. But then A-12, which was basically the precursor to the SR-71, nearly the same plane, but not quite. So, when they were thinking, okay, so if we fly fast, we can evade the missiles. If we fly high, they can't detect us. Or if we're super stealthy, the radar can't see us. So the A-12, it flew at Mach 3.3, actually I don't know, because 3.32 is the 3.2, but realistically it can go faster. 3.2 is the given number for the SR-71, so I don't recall what the A-12 is, because I knew it flew slightly faster and slightly higher, but that's because it was lighter and smaller and more aerodynamic. So, as for the A-12, probably closer to 3.3, maybe Mach 3.4, I'm not sure. But it flew very fast, and it flew very, very high, and it was stealthy. So yeah, no chance of being detected, and if it wasn't detected, then missiles couldn't get to it. So it was really cool, and the United States Air Force was like, hey, that's actually a really, really nifty plane. Could we have one that, could be maybe a bomber or an interceptor or something? So then Lockheed Martin was like, sure, yeah, 1 second. Okay, Reconnaissance Strike 71. Oh, no, okay, it was lobbied to be called the SR-71 Strategic Reconnaissance. Alright, sure, that's fine. So yeah, SR-71, and it's a little bigger, has 2 seats, has a lot more fuel, that was the biggest thing. It was heavier and larger, but I think it flew a lot further. Now the funny thing is, YF-12 and all that stuff, the interceptor, there's some bomber and interceptor variants conceptualized and even flown. One that even carried a drone for detachment, you can look into that, it's a bunch of weird stuff. But guess what? The only version that was actually heavily used for this adaptable frame was the reconnaissance version. So it stayed a reconnaissance plane despite the idea of making it into other planes, and it was very good. It went on many missions, and it is a very cool plane, and I have a deep passion for it because I am very autistic. Probably not very autistic, though I do look slightly autistic, talk slightly autistically, my lips are very autistic in a way. That sounds very weird, but it is true. And also, I am most definitely slightly autistic. Also, I was looking into mirror neurons. I've been interested in the subconscious of the brain recently, and mirror neurons are these very weird things that basically our brain wants to imitate what we see and experience, and people with autism have less of them most of the time, so that is why I can watch a movie and watch someone being brutally murdered, and it's a very emotional scene, and I just keep munching on my Snack Factory organic pretzel crisps. Yum, yum. It's also why, because, see, I have this tendency to enjoy, well, let's just say, what's a word that summarizes violence, sprinting, and physical competition? Physicality? No. Athleticism? I don't think athleticism encompasses combat. Walking? No. Exercise? Yeah. Bodily usage, that sounds horrific. Testing my physical capability in many aspects. So, hand-to-hand combat, running, parkour, rock climbing, all that stuff. I love the physical challenge, jumping, all that things, all that thing. And anything that gives you adrenaline, like fighting and running, which is why when I am going up a slight hill and there's a very straight path in front of me with a very clear and determined point at the end of it, I want to sprint so very bad. And I always think of combat in general. So yes, where was I going with this? Oh yes, I have a tendency towards liking combat. Oh yeah, so, and because I have less empathy, the beginning of Saving Private Ryan, which started out as a very realistic depiction of the D-Day landing, I was just fine with that. I actually kind of found it funny when they were being popped in the head with bullets. And I knew it was a real event, but I knew it was a movie, so I was like, oh, nice headshot, boom, haha, yeah, their bodies. Which may seem maniacal to other people, and perhaps I even am slightly, but thankfully I have self-control. Wow, this video is only 11 minutes long so far. I really felt like it's been longer, but I guess not. My nose is slightly stuffed if you couldn't tell. I hope that's not annoying. The main concern is that the microphone quality on this is absolutely horrific, so you could probably not even tell what I'm saying most of the time. Newman ultramicroscopic silicovolcanic coniosis, anti-disestablishmentarianism. I didn't tell you about many of the features of the SR-71, but that's fine. Those were just lore, I suppose. My most recent video behind this one is short, where I made a Snapships SR-71. And soon I'll be receiving an SR-71 poster and an SR-71 model. The model will be displayed in a particular location that I will enjoy, and the poster will be in a different location that I will enjoy as well, because I like the SR-71. I like things. And now, well, alright, so I'm gonna do something to deter all the ASMR. Alright, I'm gonna talk normally now, because I wanna get rid of the ASMR. Wait, no, this voice could be considered decent. Alright, so it's not. Okay, so I gotta talk. Okay, there we go. This isn't a comforting voice at all. This is just an annoying voice. Alright, so don't leave only leave if you're listening to this for my voice, alright? Because I'm not gonna do a good voice from here on out. So if you're only listening to this for my voice, please leave. Alright. Hopefully that got out to all the people who were, the weird ASMR people that I don't want watching my videos. Now, for everyone else, I shall give you some positivity before I go. I didn't want to give this to the ASMR people because this could be interpreted by them as like boyfriend ASMR, and that is just like no. Alright, so what's the best voice I could do for this? One sec, let me clear my nose. I don't know how I do this, but let me try. Okay, I did something, and I don't think it worked, but oh well. So, now I'd just like to say a few words of encouragement of some sort. So listen, coming from me, Joshua Brown, who owns the channel Dusk Unite 71 on YouTube, and you are watching this video, and I want to talk to you. Now, I may not know who you are, as I'm conveying this to an audience who may be listening, and the only ones who will be hearing this are the ones who are listening. So, this is to all of you who are listening. Whether you are male or female, or old or young, or energetic or calm, or depressed or happy, whatever you are, this is for you. I hope you're doing lovely. If you are a good person, but of course goodness cannot be gauged, and we are all sinful, but if you overall, in general, try to be good, so to speak, thank you. I hope you continue to do that, and if you don't do it, then please do that. Always strive to do good, and always strive to improve. Be the best you can be. Make people's days better. If you want to be evil and trample them just to get money in the corporeal realm only before you die, and your money goes to waste as you purchased a yacht that now rusts away in the junkyard, then, well, pardon my French, but screw you, mate. Do something good with your life. Use it to benefit people. And if you happen to be a philosopher of any sort and you're wondering, well, why should I do that if I'm going to die anyways? Well, I've made a couple of videos on that. I believe Walk and Talk, what is it, 160 summary of how to live life and improve. I also have some writings on the meaning of life, why we should try to be a good person, why you should be unique and stuff like that. They're pretty long writings, but they have a summary of them. If you'd like, you can make a comment on this video asking for those writings and I'll provide them to you. But otherwise, they will not be in the description of this video or anything like that. However, you can try to find them yourselves if you like by going to my channel, clicking on links, pressing on the one that says all my documents. Well, it says docs, but you know, docs is short for documents. Go to that and attempt to find which writing it is in one of the many docs. If you do that, it is quite impressive because there's many documents and there's many writings in those documents, and those writings are very long. So, yes, I hope you're doing great. If you're not, I'll pray for you. And by that I mean I'll pray for everyone who's watching this video. I should pray for everyone really in general, but I'll do that one. I'll do one for you specifically, whoever may be watching this video. Now, if you talked about the paradoxes and stuff with the perspectives of watching this video, you know, how you're in the future and stuff, and what you, all that kind of stuff, you know, it's complicated. But in this case, I can treat, one thing that's kind of hard to get past thought-wise, but is pretty obvious, is that I can just treat this like I'm talking to whoever's watching this, because I am, you. Now, if it's in the background noise, then the person's not paying attention, then oh well, it's playing, but they're not listening, are they? So it doesn't really exist for them. Their brain isn't processing what I'm saying. So this is for you, viewer. And you can feel more and more unique the less views are on this video. So if you see like 3 to 10 views, I doubt it'll even get that many, maybe 20 be a good number. Feel very unique because you are one of the very, very, very few people who watch this. Now, of course, you can be unique in anything. I can say the word Dilagabala Farraf. I know no one's ever said that word, and that is very unique, but it does not matter. Despite no one saying that, it doesn't have much of an effect, and really, watching this video won't affect you very much, I shouldn't think. But if there's a low view count, and even if there's hundreds of views, you're still very unique compared to the almost 9 billion people on Earth. And by the way, if I just caused you to yawn, that is because of your mirror neurons. Haha, got me to play. That's why yawns are contagious, because of those mirror neurons. Haha, funny. Anyways, so yes, you're very unique in watching this. Very few people will watch this, if any. But I know you're watching this because in order for this to be watched by you, you are watching it. Obvious, but there's complexities and sort of a looping paradox to the perspective of how I could be talking to someone, but I'm talking to no one, and all that stuff. But I've gone into that way too many times, and it takes way too long to explain it all, and it never really ends. So, for you, viewer, person, man or female, should I say every name to guess it? Andrew, Bartholomew, Thomas, James, Sydney, Taylor? No, I'm just kidding. However, Will and Taylor, I believe, are some common names. If your name is Will or your name is Taylor, that would be pretty cool. It'd be cool if you left a comment to let me know if I happen to guess your name specifically. That'd be funny, wouldn't it? Or what about Jackson? No one's named Jackson these days, let's be honest. Jason? That's a weirder one too. James? Who's named James? Bartholomew Cubbins? I don't know, I'm just throwing out names. Oliver Twist? Is your name Oliver Twist, viewer? If it is, then what are you doing watching my video? You should be famous or something. But that is all I have to say. This video is quite long and it doesn't have much of a purpose unless you wanted to learn about the SR-71, hear a nice voice, and get some encouragement of some sort. It was random, and if you chose to listen to it, thank you. Thank you for dedicating your very finite, running out, mortal time from this earth to listening to me talk. To listening to what I have to say, even if it isn't that important. Thank you. And as always, thanks for watching. Wait, no, the Vsauce says that. Is that what Jeremy Clarkson says at the end of Grand Tour / Top Gear episodes? And as always, good night. Is that what he says? And as always, thanks for watching. What does he say? I forgot. As always, good night, everyone. I forgot what Jeremy Clarkson says at the end of Top Gear and Grand Tour, but I'll do what Vsauce does. And as always, thanks for watching. And then visualize like a game disc or whatever that is he holds, he crushing it, turns into green. Just look up a 7-year-old Vsauce video and you'll see what I'm talking about. Goodbye and have a lovely time.